Welcome to the Network Engineering Video Blog. I'm your host, Michael Crane. Today is kind of a rant. I don't normally rant because there's enough people out there already ranting about this thing or the other thing. And I've always been about the solution, not about overemphasizing the problem. But today I just wanted to talk about something that really bothered me, and maybe offer a solution. So today I want to talk about Cisco and how the once king of the router switch world has fallen, or maybe just lost their way. Hopefully just lost their way. As you can probably tell from my previous videos, or blogs I am a bit of a Cisco fanboy. I have worked with Cisco equipment and Cisco personnel for well over 20 years. And I even worked for Cisco for a while. But don't get me wrong, I love me some Juniper. That equipment is great too, but today is not about Juniper. Today is about Cisco. So, where do I start? Let's see. Well, I heard through the rumor mill that Cisco is now renting out their empty offices using Airbnb. And I have not actually gone on and did any research to confirm this with anybody, but well, what do you say? Okay, so let's talk about how Cisco got into this predicament. It's probably not really a fault of their own. We had a downturn in the economy. We everyone's been eating beans and rice for the past 10 years, it seems like, and so they had a lot of they basically overbuilt their campuses. They turned buildings into data centers. They've been renting them out, and they've just left a lot of them dark, a lot of the offices dark, and that's sad. And you really hope that when the economy turns around, they'll be able to to fill that stuff back up. And that was sad, and I'm not ranting about that. It happens to the best of them. But so someone came up with the idea at Cisco to turn Cisco into an Airbnb, and I think that is the most horrible idea I have ever heard of. For one thing, Cisco is a router and switch company, and it is not a hotel. So the argument I'm guessing they're thinking it is so the argument I can hear it now is we're trying to cater to this next generation person, let's say, or people, and my question is why? The millennials and the younger generation don't have any money to buy routers or switches, so and if they did have money, so let's go back. So why are they staying in these Airbnbs? Well, I'll tell you why. They're broke. They don't have any money. You think people want to stay in an Airbnb? Hell no, they want to stay in a Hyatt and get catered to like everybody else does. If you really want to impress the millennials or the next generation, give them a job, and they can afford to stay in a Hyatt, and they don't have to worry about staying in Airbnb. So anyway, now that we've determined that's a pretty bad idea, what do we do? I don't want to just rant and not offer solutions. So I think first things first. First, I would find whoever came up with that idea, an executive that signed off on it, and fire them. You guys are a router and switch company. You're not a hotel, okay? And then what's the next step? Okay, we've got all these empty offices and everything. So we need a solution. Okay, so what's the solution? Let's think about that a little bit. Well, here's an idea. You know that gray market that Cisco has been ignoring for the last, I don't know, 20 years, I guess. I don't know how long eBay has been around, but if you go to eBay, there's at least 1 million pieces of Cisco equipment out there. But anyway, that gray market that you guys are ignoring, well, you should own that. You should just become one with it. You should be embracing that. You're a router and switch company. You know, it's like you have 1 million stepchildren out there you're just ignoring. You should own that market. You should. And how can we do that? You're asking, you know, there's no money in it. They're selling routers out there for $50. How do you make any money like that? Well, let's look at it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is a website. You need to be able to buy and sell stuff. And just for the sake of argument, we're just going to call it buyciscostuff.com. And so that's the first. You're going to set this up. You're going to be able to take credit card payments and do all that other fun stuff. It's a merchant site, basically. Is you want to be able to sell all your software loads directly from this website right here. You want every software load that works from the 6905, the 20-year-old box, to all the way up to well, maybe not the newest stuff, but you know, all the way up into at least the 3900 series routers and switches. So people can actually go buy that software instead of having to try to pirate it from or collect it from wherever, you know, eBay device they get it from. I mean, every time you buy a router on eBay, just keep your fingers crossed it's got a decent load in it. Okay, so what's the second step? So the second step is no 12.x software load will cost over $50. That's right, nothing over $50. You put that software on the Cisco website and you can go with a credit card and just go buy any loads you need in the 12.x for $50. That's it. And let me ask you, Cisco, something, or let's just think out loud for a bit. You know, so you build a device that the mean time between failures is about 25 years, and then you end of life it in about 7 or somewhere around that time frame. But the problem is, and I can understand, you know, with the hardware part, because hardware is constantly churning. You might not be able to get the older parts and chips and all that other fun stuff for it. But so you end of life the hardware, but you should be writing software for those devices for 25 years. They're out there. Why aren't you selling software loads for these things? And yeah, okay, so you might be able to migrate it to, you know, to some of the newer loads, the 15.x loads, for example. But you should be patching this stuff, you know, because a lot of that older equipment can't handle. It just doesn't have the memory to squeeze in a 15.x load. You know, it might only have 256 meg of RAM in it. You know, so you should be patching and selling 12.x software for 25 years for these devices, so you can make money on it. You know, Microsoft and those guys, they would be peeing all over themselves with joy if they could sell an upgrade, you know, for Microsoft or a patch or whatever for $50. I mean, you're missing out on a huge market. I mean, think of someone that buys a router or switch off of eBay. You know, and let's say it doesn't have the load they need in it. You know, and they can't. And it's only got 256 meg. So they can only get like a 12.2 load or something like that in there, right? So you should have a 12.2.1 or 12.2.2 or whatever, you know, however you want to name it, where it's small enough to fit inside that router but may have the fixes or the features that this person needs. You know, then you've just made 50 bucks right there. And there's millions of these things out there. Okay, so what's the next step? Well, the next step is we need to provide, or Cisco, you need to provide an upgrade path to the newer loads. So let's say you have an older router, but it's still, you know, pretty good, you know, but, you know, it's just doesn't quite have the horsepower or you know, the memory or whatever it takes to get it to 15.0. Well, or 15.x. You need to offer a path for this. You know, you need to sell memory. You know, if you know, instead of asset disposing all your old hardware, you need to keep it and sell it. You know, for people that want some 15.x feature, but they just can't get it, and they don't want to. There's, you know, it's either, you know, go to the Wild West of eBay and try to hopefully get a stick off of eBay, or they can buy it from you. You know, you need to offer an upgrade path for them to upgrade their older equipment. I mean, I would love to, you know, buy a new cover for my my 3845 that broke. You know, just a dust cover, but you know, I'd have to go to eBay and buy a switch because no one sells them. I looked. So anyway, you need to you know, and then it needs to have an upgrade path. You know, from 12.x to 15. You know, hardware and software. Okay, so what's the fourth thing? So the fourth thing is you need to offer a buyback program for your old equipment. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it. You know, if you know you can sell a used 3845 for $200, let's say, then say, okay, well, we'll buy them for $50, $75, $100. You know, and offer a real buyback program. You think people want to stick stuff on eBay? No, it's a hassle. You know, if they know they could just contact Cisco, send some pictures, maybe drop it off at a site somewhere or you know, an office, and you know, and get some money for it right then that's going to be a lot easier. Especially companies that are going out of business, they don't want to mess around. They auction this stuff off. You know, give them a way to you know, get some money out of their equipment without having to you know, to worry about trying to auction it off. And the next time they set up shop and go to buy some equipment, they're going to remember that Cisco took care of them when they, you know, and they need it. Yeah, you're not going to give them a lot of money for it. Just be honest with them. Say, well, you know, this is how it works. We buy used equipment for about half of what we think we can sell it for. You know, and then turn around, and if you only pay $100 for a router, you know, you can turn around and sell it for $200. Don't even have to touch it. You know, maybe a software update, then you get another 50 bucks out of it. You know, you start treating your customers right, and they will come back time and time again because they know they have a friend in the router and switch company and router and switch business. And another thing too, you can also part them out. You know. So the guy that needs to upgrade to 15 but needs a stick of memory, well, you know, you probably don't make that stuff anymore because it's old, right? You know, this might be a 15-year-old router or switch. You know, then you'll have it because you'll have all kinds of extra parts around there to sell, and then just sell them. You need to own this used equipment, this gray market. You need to own it. Okay, so what's the fifth thing? So the fifth thing is is you've got a lot of old equipment out there, you've got some old hardware, you need to offer some customer support. And it needs to cost $1 a minute. You know, you can have a minimum on there, say $30 minimum. So, you know, if someone calls up and says, you know, how do you do this? And it only takes a 5-minute call. You know, you still charge them $30, but if it's a 45-minute call, then it's $45. You know, you don't want to take them to the cleaners, especially, you know, with cheaper hardware like this, you know. So you need to have customer support. And I guarantee you, at $1 a minute, you're going to get a lot of calls. So yeah, so now you have customer support, $1 a minute, you know, maybe a 30-minute minimum, you know, to support this stuff. Your goal, Cisco's goal, if I was CEO of Cisco, Cisco's goal would be to put a router or switch in every single office in this nation. You know, you don't want this junk here. I don't know if you can see it. You don't want, I see this stuff littered all over offices. This is junk, you know, but that's the only thing people can afford to buy. This one's being used as a WAP right now, but because I have a Cisco router, of course. But yeah, you don't want this junk littered all over the country. You want Cisco stuff stuck in there. And you don't have to buy or manufacture new ones, you know, that cost lots of development dollars. Get the used stuff in there. Get people owning Cisco and loving it, and, you know, a cheap customer support and a buyback program if they don't want it any longer, or upgrade to a newer Cisco device, and they know they have upgrade paths, so they know it's not going to be end of life anytime soon, or even if the hardware is end of life, they can still get parts for it, you know, and you know, software $50, you know, that would be great. People love it. I mean, if you think about it, so, you know, I bought a $50 3845 router, and I mean, that's just sad. And the reason why it's cheap is because I know that I can't hardly get any software for it. If I do, I just have to, you know, go to some site and pay just through the nose for it, or you know, maybe buy another piece of equipment and hope I can get a load off of that. I know there's not going to be any upgrade paths for it, although I think that would probably fit. I could probably get it in there. Anyway, that's beside the point. I know Cisco doesn't, you know, buyback program and customer support. Yeah, I don't know how much customer support would be, but I'm guessing, you know, based on the support contracts I've seen float through the office when I was in the telecom business, I'm guessing $1 a minute would be laughable. But anyway, but if you think about that, you know, if someone knew they'd go on eBay and buy a router that's you know, 10 years old, 7 years old, something like that, and knew that they actually had a viable product that they could get software for and upgrade paths and customer support on, you know, that router probably wouldn't be a $50 router anymore. It would probably be a $500 router, you know, and so you know, you're enhancing your product value right there, and the Cisco product would, you know, people would buy it. People don't want to buy that cheap junk. They want good quality stuff. They just can't afford it. Okay, Cisco, so the choice is yours. What do you want to do? Do you want to fill up your empty offices with millennials and young people cooking beans and rice over sterno cans, or would you rather fill up your empty offices and buildings with software developers writing patches for 12.x and offering upgrade paths to 15.0, supporting, you know, developers supporting buyciscostuff.com, you know, customer, hundreds of customer support people to support the gray market equipment, buyback programming, warehousing, where you can fill some of those offices up with equipment. Make some money, double your money on everything you buy. You will be able to start making some money. You have to think outside of the box. Set up BuyCiscoStuff.com. Just own that gray market. Start writing patches for 12.x. Let's get some patches out there. Let's make it so where people can go on CiscoStuff.com and buy any load they need off of there. Where you can see they don't have to mess around with any third party to deal with. Set up that buyback program. Everything that you buy, you double your money on. It'd be great. And this right here, this customer support, you could fill up a building with customer support people if you only charged $1 a minute. I don't know how much customer support people, and $1 a minute might be unreasonable, but if it's cheap enough, people will buy it. I mean, if you have a network engineer making $120,000 a year and has a question, they can either spend a half a day on the internet trying to dig through the Cisco.com site to find the answer, or they can spend $30 and just call somebody that might know it like that. This $1 a minute is a lot of these answers might be solved in 5 minutes. You'll be making a lot more than $30 every 30 minutes or $60 an hour. So you just got to think outside the box. Put this Airbnb thing to rest. Give it a break. You're a router and switch company. Be it. You got to own up to it. Own the gray market.